Hey everyone, welcome to another deep dive, and today we're going to be tackling a pretty intriguing combo, Enneagram Type 2s and Type 3s.
Oh, yeah, this one's a fascinating dynamic for sure. We're talking about the givers and the achievers.
Right, those heart-centered folks who thrive on connection, paired up with those ambitious go-getters.
It's like a real clash of styles on the surface, but when you look deeper...
Yeah, that's exactly what we're here to do. Unpack all of that and see, can these two, with their seemingly opposite personalities, actually build a solid, fulfilling relationship?
Well, let's find out, shall we?
Absolutely. So where do we even begin with this one? I mean, communication styles alone seem like they could cause some friction.
Oh, absolutely. Think about it. You've got a Type 2 who's all about expressing their feelings, needing that emotional validation.
And then you've got the Type 3 who's more likely to jump into problem-solving mode, wanting to fix everything rather than just listen and empathize.
You nailed it. So picture this. The Type 2 is trying to vent about a rough day, really needing that shoulder to cry on.
And the Type 3 immediately jumps in with solutions, trying to fix the situation.
Classic scenario. And the poor Type 2 ends up feeling completely unheard, like their emotions are being dismissed.
While the Type 3 is left wondering why their partner isn't appreciating their practical approach.
It's a recipe for miscommunication, for sure.
So how do they break out of this cycle? How can they learn to truly understand and connect with each other's communication styles?
Well, for the Type 3s out there, the key is to really practice active listening. Resist that urge to jump into problem-solving mode right away.
So putting those fixer instincts aside, easier said than done, I'm sure.
It might feel a bit unnatural at first, but trust me, it's worth the effort. Instead of offering solutions, try reflecting back what you're hearing.
Like, it sounds like you're feeling really overwhelmed and hurt by what happened.
Exactly. That simple act of validation can make all the difference for a Type 2. It shows them you're truly listening and trying to understand their emotional experience.
Makes sense. And for the Type 2s, any advice on how to approach those communication differences with their Type 3 partner?
Remember that their drive to fix things comes from a place of love, even if it doesn't always feel that way in the moment.
It's like their way of showing they care, even if it's not the kind of emotional support you might be craving.
Exactly. And once you recognize that, you can actually start to appreciate their practicality. Think about it. When you're feeling overwhelmed by a decision, who better to have on your side than someone who can break it down into manageable steps?
Okay, I see your point. Their problem-solving skills can actually be a huge asset in certain situations.
Absolutely. And likewise, Type 3s can learn a lot from their Type 2 partner's emotional intelligence.
Like being more attuned to the feelings of others, building stronger relationships.
Exactly. So it's not just about avoiding clashes. It's about recognizing how these differences can actually complement and enhance each other.
Okay, so communication is one hurdle. But what about conflict? How do these two approach disagreements, especially given their different emotional styles?
This is where things can get really interesting. Type 2s, being so heart-centered, tend to express their emotions very openly during conflict.
Makes sense. They're not ones to bottle things up.
Right. They might get upset, need reassurance that the relationship is still strong, that kind of thing. Type 3s, on the other hand, might try to downplay their emotions or even appear detached.
Like they're trying to keep a cool head and find a quick resolution.
Exactly. They want to avoid any unnecessary drama or disruption, especially if it interferes with their goals. But this can be a recipe for disaster when you're dealing with a Type 2 who needs that emotional validation during conflict.
It's like they're speaking different languages when it comes to expressing their needs during disagreements.
Precisely. So the key for the Type 3 is to recognize that conflict isn't something to be avoided at all costs. It's an opportunity to understand their Type 2 partner's needs on a deeper level.
So instead of shutting down or trying to fix it immediately, they need to create space for those emotions to be expressed.
Right. And for the Type 2, learning to communicate their feelings clearly and directly without blaming or accusing their partner can help create a more productive and less volatile environment for resolving conflict.
It sounds like it's a lot of navigating different emotional landscapes.
It is, but when both partners are willing to put in the effort, these differences can actually become strengths. When a Type 2 feels truly heard and understood during conflict, it deepens their loyalty and devotion.
And when a Type 3 learns to lean into vulnerability, they discover a whole new level of emotional connection.
Exactly.
And I think it's a perfect segue into talking about how this dynamic, this blend of heart and hustle, plays out in a professional setting.
Oh, absolutely. You see this pairing thrive in collaborative environments all the time.
Yeah, I can see that. Both type 2s and 3s are naturally drawn to people. They love connecting.
Exactly. And they both tend to gravitate towards those roles where they can really shine in a team setting.
So they're comfortable being in the spotlight, working those people skills.
Right. But where it gets really interesting is how their individual strengths complement each other in a work setting.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Break it down for us. How do their approaches to work actually mesh in real life?
Well, think about the type 2. They're incredibly intuitive. They can read a room like nobody's business.
So they're the ones picking up on the emotional needs of the team, making sure everyone feels heard and valued.
Exactly. They're the glue that holds everything together, fostering that sense of camaraderie and support.
And while the type 2 is busy nurturing those relationships, the type 3 is laser focused on the goals.
You got it. They're the ones setting the bar high, inspiring the team to reach for those ambitious targets.
It's like having a built-in cheerleader and strategist all in one. No wonder you see so many type 2 and 3 partnerships crushing it in fields like sales and marketing.
Absolutely. The type 2 can connect with clients on a deeper level, build that trust, and then the type 3 swoops in with their charm and persuasiveness to seal the deal.
Talk about a dynamic duo. Okay, but let's shift gears for a minute. What about in more creative fields? How does this heart and hustle combo work when it comes to things like, say, filmmaking?
Oh, this is where it gets really fun. Imagine the type 2 as the director, overflowing with passion and those big visionary ideas.
They're the ones who want to move people with their art, connect with audiences on an emotional level.
Right. But they might not be the best when it comes to the nitty-gritty details of actually bringing that vision to life.
And that's where the type 3 producer comes in.
Exactly. They're the ones who can take those big ideas and turn them into a concrete plan.
They're setting the budget, managing the logistics, keeping everyone on schedule, making sure the whole thing doesn't go off the rails.
They thrive on that structure and organization, which is essential for any creative project to actually succeed.
It really highlights how, in the right context, their differences become assets.
Precisely. It's not about one being better than the other. It's about recognizing how they can each contribute their unique strengths.
Okay, so we've talked about how this dynamic plays out in a professional setting. But what about in their personal lives? How does this heart and hustle combo affect their personal growth?
This is where things get really juicy, because these two can actually help each other evolve in really profound ways.
Okay, I'm all ears. Tell me more.
Well, think about the type 2. They're so good at nurturing others, helping people tap into their emotions.
So they can help the type 3, who might be a bit more guarded, connect with their feelings and become more self-aware.
Exactly. And the type 3, with their focus on achieving goals, can help the type 2 set healthy boundaries and prioritize their own needs.
Which is something type 2s often struggle with, right? That whole putting everyone else first thing.
Absolutely. They're so focused on giving to others that they sometimes forget to take care of themselves.
It's like they each hold the key to unlocking the other's potential.
I love that analogy. It really speaks to the power of compatibility, how it's not about finding someone who's exactly like you, but someone who complements you, who challenges you to grow in ways you wouldn't on your own.
It's like opposites attract, but then they also thrive together.
You got it. And when you have that kind of mutual respect and support, the potential for growth is limitless. Now, speaking of potential, let's bring it back to the heart of the matter.
The romantic spark. What is it about a type 2 and type 3 pairing that makes for such a potentially passionate and fulfilling love story?
Well, beyond that initial attraction, that magnetic pull they might feel towards each other.
Which I imagine can be pretty strong, given their contrasting personality.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But what really sustains that spark is how beautifully their energies balance each other out.
Like yin and yang.
Exactly. The type 2 brings that warmth, that emotional depth, that desire to nurture and care for their partner.
And the type 3 brings the drive, the ambition, the desire to create a life of success and accomplishment. I can see how that would be an exciting combination. But we've talked a lot about their strengths. What are some of the hurdles this pairing might face as they try to build a life together?
As we discussed earlier, those differences in how they express their emotions can definitely create some tension.
Especially when it comes to conflict.
Right. And even in those everyday moments of showing love and appreciation.
It's easy to imagine the type 2 wanting those deep, heartfelt conversations, while the type 3 is expressing their love through actions, like planning a surprise date or fixing something around the house.
Exactly. And that's where understanding each other's love languages becomes so crucial. The type 2 needs to realize that the type three's acts of service are just as meaningful as 1,000 I love yous.
And the type 3 needs to understand that the type two's need for quality time and physical touch isn't about being clingy, but about feeling deeply connected.
It's all about communication, compromise, and finding a rhythm that works for both of them.
And when they do that, when they learn to navigate those differences with grace and empathy, they can build something truly special.
A relationship that is both passionate and supportive, where they challenge each other to grow and celebrate each other's victories, big and small.
It really is a testament to the power of embracing our differences. Because when we do, we can create something so much more beautiful and fulfilling than we ever could on our own.
Absolutely. And that's the beauty of the Enneagram. It gives us this incredible framework for understanding ourselves and others on a deeper level.
And when we use that knowledge with compassion and intention, we can unlock so much potential in our relationships.
Well said. We've explored a lot of the theoretical stuff, but now it's time to get practical.
Right, because I'm sure our listeners are thinking, okay, this is all fascinating, but how can I actually use this knowledge to make my relationship stronger?
Exactly. So let's dive into some tangible tips for all you type 2s and 3s out there who are ready to take things to the next level.
Perfect. So where do we begin? What's the first step towards building a more fulfilling and harmonious connection as a type 2 and type 3 couple?
It all starts with that foundation we keep coming back to, self-awareness.
Right. We can't emphasize that enough.
It's not just about knowing your Enneagram type. It's about going deeper.
Understanding those underlying motivations, the fears, the things that trigger you.
And recognizing those same things in your partner.
Because once you have that awareness, you can start to approach your relationship with a whole new level of empathy and compassion.
Exactly. Your partner's ambition isn't a personal attack, it's just their way of expressing love. Their fear of vulnerability isn't weakness, it's a deep-seated need for security.
So it's about seeing beyond those surface-level behaviors and understanding the why behind them.
Exactly. And that understanding is what allows you to communicate more effectively, navigate conflict with grace, and support each other authentically.
Okay, self-awareness is key.
Mm-hmm.
But how do we actually put that into practice? What are some concrete steps type 2s and 3s can take?
One of the most powerful tools I recommend for any couple, but especially for this pairing, is regular check-ins.
Like a relationship temperature check.
Exactly.
Mm.
Carve out some time each week, even just 30 minutes, to sit down and connect intentionally.
No phones, no distractions, just focused time to talk about what's going on in your lives and in the relationship.
And here's the key. Active listening is essential.
Right. Really putting in the effort to hear and understand what your partner's saying without interrupting or offering unsolicited advice.
Type 3s, this might be a bit of a challenge for you, but trust me, it's worth it. Learning to truly listen to your type 2 partner's emotions without trying to fix them will make all the difference.
In type 2s, remember that your type 3 partner often expresses their love through actions rather than words.
So pay attention to those acts of service, those little things they do to make your life easier or support your goals. Those are their love languages.
It's all about understanding and appreciating those different ways of showing love.
Exactly. And speaking of appreciation, another tip I think is crucial for this pairing is to celebrate each other's wins, no matter how big or small.
Absolutely. Recognizing and acknowledging those moments of success, both individually and as a couple.
Type 3s, when your type 2 partner does something thoughtful or goes out of their way to help someone express your gratitude, those gestures might seem small to you, but they're huge to them.
And type 2s, don't downplay your type 3 partner's achievements. They thrive on recognition, so celebrate those promotions, those successful projects, those moments when they achieve something they've been working hard for.
It's all about finding that balance, recognizing and appreciating the unique strengths each partner brings to the relationship.
You know, what I love about the Enneagram is that it gives us this framework for understanding ourselves and our partners on a deeper level.
It's not about putting people in boxes. It's about unlocking those hidden dynamics, those underlying motivations that drive our behavior.
And when you have that knowledge, you can approach your relationship with more empathy, more patience, and ultimately more love.
So true. And as we wrap up our deep dive into type 2 and type 3 compatibility, I want to leave you with this. Embrace your differences.
They're not obstacles, they're opportunities.
Learn from them, grow from them, and use them to build a relationship that is truly extraordinary.
Because when you combine the heart of a type 2 with the hustle of a type 3, you create something truly special.
A partnership that is both deeply fulfilling and incredibly exciting.
Absolutely. So to all our listeners out there, keep exploring, keep growing, and keep loving.
And remember, the journey of self-discovery and connection is never ending.
Well said. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the fascinating world of Enneagram compatibility.
Until next time.